Hello YouTube, today we're going to be covering Dragons of Legend. So I'm going to be explaining all the, not all the cards in this pack, but the cards that are going to be most relevant, and just going in to explain some other decks that might not even thought about or haven't looked at it in a while, and just kind of show how this supports some of their decks. So we're going to head down here. First thing I'm just going to explain right here is the itemize. Now, this I'm going to make into a separate video, and I will explain why that later. Is because the legendary knights, they will be making all three of them, and they are going to become a deck in the future. Now, Bandhan is probably going to be the most relevant meta card because he just lets you mill and get your choice of which spell or trap card you want. I mean, that is really just a great ability, and right now its price is somewhere between $10 and $12. He probably will stay there for a while unless people stop using him, but that ability of just milling 5 and then picking which one you want, so long as it's a spell or trap. Now, Berserk Soul, I'm surprised I hadn't seen any O2Ks with this yet. I mean, all you need is to attack with a monster with 1500 attack points or less, and then have a monster mass, and there are plenty of monsters that do direct attack with like 700 or lower, so you play 2 of these with a monster match, and doing a direct attack at 700, milling 8 cards, that is, what is that? 4,000 damage, 4,700. Then the other one, that's game right there. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen any O2Ks with this card yet. But maybe there will be some in the future where we'll start seeing some of that direct attack O2K with Berserk Souls. But that's just what I see when I look at this card. The thing that lets you just go into your O2K in almost one turn. And just 2 turns, that's all it takes. 2 turns with Berserk Soul. Let's see, is it going? There we go. Okay, let's go into the next one. Relay. So, now this card is actually much better. I mean, here's a few ways of how it's good. It can stop burn decks from beating you. It can stop. You can play a high level monster, then you could play like Book of Moon when it's about to die, so you don't have to suffer the negative effect of Relay Soul. But I mean, think about it. You're able to summon any monster from your hand, could do a high level monster. You could also stop yourself from taking damage, so you could play a monster who cannot die by battle. Like, who would be a good choice? There's a good high level monster that cannot be destroyed by battle that I cannot remember at the moment. I'll think of it later. But I mean, this card does let you go into almost anything and have a good protection. Now, who do we go into? Guardian Dreadscythe here. He actually has some potential in the game. I mean, just obviously more O2K because your opponent will never play a monster in attack mode once you pull it off with its Dreadscythe. Is all you have to do is let Eos die, summon it. Dreadscythe makes it have 500 attack points for every card, for every monster in the graveyard. Now, I mean, I'll just bring up Dreadscythe, and then he also can bring himself back by discarding card. The only downside, you can't summon, but that's not too bad if you're going to have a monster with over 5,000 attack points killing. Yeah, that's pretty vicious, Dreadscythe. Let's see. Going to go into the next card. It's a garden treasure. Now, this card is probably not going to be too relevant in the future with the fact that we're going to start with 5 cards now, and now you're not going to be able to discard as easy. So, I don't know. This card, this actually might bring Fables back, since Fables can run this, and they'll be able to start drawing their cards, since they'll still get their effects instead of the cost. Now, this card, obviously, I was going to talk about. This thing, it will probably get hit on the ban list eventually, because it just allows burn decks to become O2K, and Konami had never smiled upon burn decks in the future, in the past, and I'm doubting today is going to be the first day they're going to say, yeah, let's let the burn deck have their best card and kill everyone with it. Now, Philosopher's Stone, this can work in some decks. Actually, probably where this is best is, if you just mill all 3 of them, you'll be able to have your monster gain your opponent monster's attack points. And if you're playing a deck that actually runs Wing Karibo, you can add fusion cards to your hand, like Polymerization, Battle Fusion, Paradox Fusion, Instant Fusion. I can't even think of all the good ones that are going to make, that are really relevant, but that's just some ideas how good Savage is. Now, let's see. Battle Fusion. This card, I'm actually surprising it had not seen any play, really. But this thing is just so deadly. I mean, let's look at the simple fact. It's an honest for fusion monsters. An honest for fusion monsters that you can run at free. How come we are not abusing this, people? What is wrong with us? Now we're going to go into some of the lesser monsters. Now, Cycroid. This really can be used in any machine deck that runs duplicates, because basically it just gives you a good little 1600 attack point, direct attack point monster. Nothing really special, just anything that is a machine deck that has multiple machines, like Cyber Dragons that have a fusion. I mean, obviously they'll probably just play the Cyber Twin, but there are other machines like that that could go for him, like Ancient Gears, and so on and so forth. Now this just lets you special summon a beast, and then your opponent monsters lose 200 points for every beast, plant, and winged beast in your graveyard. I mean, think of that. You can play this in Boozins. You can play this in the right type of plant deck. You can play this in the right type of plant deck. But more time you're going to be seeing it in Boozins, or you could be seeing it in Heroic Beasts, Crystal Beasts. I mean, this card is amazing. I'm surprised nobody had even been playing it since, I mean, back when they had it on the game, I always ran it at free whenever I played a Beast deck. Just killed people. Double Pass. Again, this is one of those reasons why I think, why is Berserk Soul not having any O2K? The Double Pass just lets your monster attack directly next turn, and both people take the monster points as direct attack damage. So you almost get 2 attacks in anyways, and then you're going to get a huge burn damage with Berserk Soul. I'm like really surprised there was no deck trying to abuse these 2 cards. Now, we're going to go into Carbon Get On. Now, you look at this guy, you probably think, what is he good for? Well, Earth Dinosaur. Take a close look at him. when he's in your graveyard, you can banish him to special summon a level 7 or lower normal dragon from your deck in defense. Now, where is that good? Try a heretic deck. The heretic dragons can just use this guy. Obviously, he's not the best utility, but he is a utility for the deck, since it lets you bring out any, and he doesn't cost anything. It only costs a space in your deck, and just have to try figuring out how to get him in the grave. Now we're going with next. Now anyone who was watching the video probably expect me to bring up this card. Ozzy, he kind of like Card Trooper, except for you cannot do all the shenanigans you do with Card Trooper. He's just more the take hit Card Trooper. That's really how you describe Mathematician. Now this I love. When I saw this card, I was like, all the god decks had just came back. Sacred Beasts, Wicked Gods, Egyptian Gods, Nordic Gods. I mean, the Egyptian Gods, I hadn't been able to figure them out. Nordic Gods, with this card, I don't even need the March of Ragnarok anymore, because this is just protects them permanently. Sacred Beasts, they no longer have to worry about the fact that they are so vulnerable anymore. Wicked Gods, they are practically an immortal because their effects were made to kill gods. Their effects are not made to defend themselves. Their effect is made to defeat other god cards. So with a card that protects them perfectly versus being able to take out any monster, I'm surprised Wicked Gods had not came back yet. Now, Steam the Cloak. Obviously, I would talk about this card. Card is pretty common, pretty good, and what it does is basically just lets you summon your Blackwing Synchrones. If you level 3 tuner, he can bring himself back. The only downside with him is all the non-tuners have to be Blackwing monsters. So, not bad. He also not that great. I kind of like the guy, but I kind of hate him at the same time. Okay. So let's get into the next thing. When my computers are working. I mean, there are definitely some abusing combos with him, but he got a lot of control on his effect to prevent all those combos. So, okay, there we go. Now Black Sonic. Now this card, I almost don't even need to say anything on it, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. First off, it's a mirror force that banish them instead of destroyed, so all those cards that are protected from being destroyed, screw them. This is just going to banish them. Now, this thing has like 2 killer effects. One, you can do it from your hand if you control 3 Blackwings, and the other, you can do it from your field so long as it's a Blackwing. Now, Shadow Impulse. This card is insane. I had several decks I've been making. I even made a Malefic deck that I'm like, wait a minute, I can play Shooting Star Dragon in it. And Majestic Red Dragon, which I had been because I just go Parallel Gear into Stardust, let Stardust into Malefic Stardust, either go Leo or I go Malefic Paradox Dragon. When Paradox Dragon die, summon Shooting Star. Now my opponent got an even harder monster to get over. If I don't have a field spell, I don't care. I can summon Shooting Star. Obviously, I cannot negate attacks with that Shooting Star, but I can negate their destruction, and I can pretty much counter a lot of their cards. And I mean, Infinities can abuse this card because all their guys are the same, are Dragon level 8 Cycroids anyway, so that's so many. Assault Dogs, I'm just going to briefly test this guy. He just basically, when he dies, he just summons 2 Assault Dogs from your deck, so nothing special, just give you a quick 2 monsters that you can XYZ with, or Synchron, or whatever you want. Now, Wire Tap, this I am expecting to be very meta, because this did exactly what 7 Tools of Bandhan does, except for it put them back in their deck, which really just covers what 7 Tool does, just much better, except for it doesn't pay. I mean, sure, it's a trade-off that they can draw it again, but if a card like Solemn Judgment, this is definitely going to be a plus, because Solemn Judgment will just be almost a dead card, having to pay 4,000 life points. Now, Train here, this is really good, because what he does is he can prevent your monster from being attacked by making them attack this, and he can't be destroyed by battle. So with those 2 effects combined, and basically you just get a special summon and you get a monster, and you prevent your monster from dying from a battle. There's really nothing else to say about him other than that. I mean, Machine, there's really nothing other than he just blocked your monster from dying. Now, let's see. Quick Chaos. This isn't going to be too great. It's not going to be too bad, but it's not going to really do a lot to the game. Mainly because this you really have to properly rank up. All the other cards you don't have to properly as much. It's just normally that type restriction. But this you actually have to properly rank up. The thing that saves it is the fact that it's a quick play, so you can actually go in the battle phase and do it and just kill your opponent. But other than that, this card is not that great. Now we're going into one of my favorites, Danza Loom, the Admiration of the Thousand. Now, deck that can really utilize this is Dreadscythe. Dreadscythe had lost a lot of support, but this actually gives them some by the fact that they have that 1 level 7 Synchron that makes their opponent mill their extra deck. So you can make them mill their cards, and then you can use both their card and your card, and then you can just go in your XYZ, because nothing had to be properly XYZ summoned for this. That is what makes this card so great. And I'm just going to touch the last 2, which is Fire and Ice Hand. These cards are probably going to see quite a bit of meta play just because they counter a lot of decks that like to do setups. And that's pretty much the gist of this video. I don't think there's any other decks. Yep, that's it, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.